Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for your attention. Let us remind first as to why we are here. Copper is one of the future-facing commodities, probably more than others. ACG is designed to consolidate the copper sector through a series of roll-up acquisitions. We are small, we have a huge growth path ahead of us. Why the copper is a future? Very simply, in the next 30 years, the humanity need to consume probably as much as copper as has been produced since the beginning of human civilization. Yet, on the supply side, the grades are declining, as you all know. There are no new discoveries other than Robert Friedland's big Oyu Tolgoi deposit in Mongolia and Kamoa-Kakula that he discovered in DRC. Literally, there have been no new major discoveries in our sector. And yet, more than 50% of all copper mines globally is more than 30 years old. So we need copper. And yet, unlike other commodities, which are dominated by Chinese influence, nickel, cobalt, lithium, steel, aluminum, copper is well diversified both in terms of the supply and in terms of the demand, where it's consumed not only in construction but also in defense. Europe is going to spend big on defense now, as well as new sectors such as data centers for artificial technologies. Investors are recognizing that, and the pure play copper companies are trading at significant premiums to the diversifieds. That's the reason we want to build a pure play copper company. ACG, as it is about 6 months old. I listed ACG as a SPAC on the London Stock Exchange. We acquired our first asset in Turkey in September, put a business case together over the last 6 months, hired the team, signed EPC contract, raised $200 million in bonds to finance expansion from the current gold production, which generated us $76 million EBITDA last year, into production of copper. As you kindly said, 26,000 tons of copper from beginning of 2026. The last bit that we did before I started to market this company in the beginning of last week was reduction of the outstanding warrants by 75%, inheritance from our SPAC childhood. That it's done now, and I can market the shares. Why I want to market the shares? Because we are not an explorer. We are producing a lot of cash. If you think about the mining industry, mining assets are nothing less but huge cash printing machines. That's what we have now. Last year, EBITDA 76 million. This year, based on 2,300 gold, even though we'll produce less gold this year, as we eat through the oxide cap of our large deposit, close to 50 million, but at today's gold prices, it is very likely to be a similar number to the last year. We just raised 200 million. We have that on the balance sheet. Our project to transform into copper production is fully funded. Once we start producing copper from the beginning of next year, less than 12 months from now, EBITDA on the consensus pricing is over 100 million. At spot will be 120, and that's before any continuation of the gold production, which we will from satellite deposits. That means there is a massive upside in our share price. Why we are not there yet? Simply, the markets doesn't know about us. It's my second week marketing this story to investors. We've been busy putting the base case together. Today, we are trading at 0.2 price to net asset value. Comparable companies trading at 0.8 to 1. We are trading on consensus pricing 1.4 EBITDA, just under 2 times free cash flow. At spot, those numbers will be 1 time EBITDA, 1.5 free cash flow. I don't think you'll find another producing company trading at these multiples. This 4 to 5 times we expect to be in the next 12 to 18 months. Few words about the leadership. As you correctly mentioned, we have some fellow Singapore residents. Robert is an advisor to us. Henny Foyle used to be head of copper at BHP. At Anglo American. BHP is the company that wants to buy the assets that he built at Anglo American. The latest addition to the board, Mike Pompeo, former head of the State Department and CIA in the first Trump administration. Well, They say there is no such thing as a former spies. Very helpful to us in the countries where we're looking to buy the assets. I personally did the same strategy, executed on a similar consolidation strategy in aluminum. I was head of strategy of Rusal. I led all the transactions that created this company for about 10 years until I listed Rusal in Hong Kong in 2010, raising $2 billion at pre-money value of $20 billion. This time, we started with a listed vehicle on the main board of the London Stock Exchange. Our first asset in the western side of Turkey, 3 hours from Mediterranean Riviera, 3 hours drive from the 3 ports that will supply European smelters. Glencore has a copper offtake and a shareholder of ours. Traxys will have a zinc offtake, will produce 2 concentrates, copper and zinc. Traxys is a marketing agent for the zinc concentrate. The grade, as you can see here, is high, 2.26%, and that's what drives our position on a global cost curve. In both gold and copper, we're in the first quartile, meaning, again, lots of cash flow generation. The project we are currently executing on, which is a brownfield expansion from production of gold into production of copper, is about $7,000 per ton of copper capacity. Typically, you'll see new copper mines being built globally at 20 to 25,000 tons per copper capacity. We are fully funded. We don't need any more money. We have more cash on the balance sheet that is required to complete the construction, which is now less than a year into commissioning. As you can see, some pictures demonstrating that this is really happening. So what it means again in terms of value of the company, 4 to 5 times upside, whether it's a pre-capex now or post-capex starting from the first quarter of the next year. This is just the beginning. Organically, we have 2 sources of upside, which is continuous production of gold. We have identified additional satellite deposits not far from our main asset. We're doing drilling. I'm buying new licenses next week to continue producing gold, which means the EBITDA is not going to be 100, it's going to be 120, 140, 130, whatever it's going to be. On the sulfide side, we expect continuation of the life of mine, initial life of mine 11 years, but the previous owner just stopped drilling when they had 10 years for the bankable feasibility study. Already 35 to 40% of the resources we have in our balance, JORC resources, are outside of the initial pit shell, so we expect to access them once we go continue mining into the initial 11 years. Again, this is just the beginning. The next step for us is to continue adding producing or near producing copper assets into our platform. We have a pipeline of deals, Turkey, Eastern Europe, Africa, South America, and the United States, which is very Trumpy topical now. We expect to be a producing company of copper. I think we have 2 to 3 years to execute on our M&A strategy before copper prices goes too high. The idea is to have 5 assets in 5 years, which globally in a number of jurisdictions, which will certainly make us a multi-billion-dollar company. Enjoy the ride. If you buy the shares now on the market, again, we don't need any more funding, and we have a number of investors keen to participate in this story as funders for our next transactions. Any questions? Very happy to answer.
Hi, my name is Mudit. I work for AsiaMet Resources. We are a copper mining development company listed on UK AIM, but have 2 projects in Indonesia. What's your global mandate in terms of geography? That was one. Secondly, I think I saw it said stage of development, it said producing. But like, how do you see pre-production?
Our focus for M&A targets is producing or near producing. As I said, I think we have 2-3 years before copper prices go ballistic. So my goal is to accumulate producing assets, and after that we can go into exploration and development. Indonesia is supplying mostly China. Given the fact and the demonstrated with Mike on our board, we are focused on a Western supply chain. So that geography probably will not be on the top of my target list. Europe, Eastern Europe, Africa, South America, North America. But very happy to chat afterwards.